righty. One of the things I want to just be very clear about, particularly for people who are new to the Spokane Sangha, um, on Wednesdays, we have a Zen practice where I read from a book that we have been studying for well over a year called Standing at the Edge by Roshi Joan Halifax. And so we forego the standard script of recovery dharma, and we just sort of launch right into a meditation and into this dharma teaching. So I just want you to be aware of that. So if you've been to other recovery dharma meetings or you go to another recovery dharma meeting and you're like, wow, this is so different than what they're doing in the Spokane Sangha, yes, it is. And it's all Dharma, it's all recovery, it's all beautiful practice. So, with that, let's invite the chime to sing, and we'll set the intention for our beautiful practice today. Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators of the Spokane Sangha. It is such a beautiful privilege to be able to be with you today practicing. This is a sentiment of metta, an intention card that I paint and I write sentiments on the back. This one reads, "May your humility empower your heart, mind." May your humility empower your heart, mind. As I said, we have been studying Roshi's book, Standing at the Edge, for many, many months now. The edge is a metaphor, an image for you to play with in your mind that is a border, an edge state for qualities that we all possess. If we go over the edge with one of these qualities, we experience distress, negative consequences at times. If we don't get close enough to the edge, we become complacent and apathetic and miss out on the potentiality for growth. So the edge state is this point of awareness, this axis of awareness that lets us know when we're getting overly involved, when it's too much, or when it's not enough for our growth and maturation in our awareness. The edge state is not fixed, therefore. It's moving. The quality that we have been exploring for several weeks now is the quality of engagement. How do you engage with your life? Recovery, yes, but everything else too. And one of the key words for engagement is wholeheartedness. Another aspect of engagement that we're going to talk about today, and I've mentioned for 2 weeks now, is the edge state that many of us know as burnout. And this is an edge state for most of us, if we've experienced it, where we've come to the edge of engagement, of passion, of devotion, and we've fallen over the edge. We've gotten too involved, we've extended ourselves too much, and now we're empty, running on fumes. We feel taken advantage of. We're giving more than we have to replenish our well. When we are empty in this way, we can create the conditions of resentment, exhaustion, anger, short fuse, impatience, impulsivity, and so forth. And so this edge state called burnout, even when we're in burnout, is a really fascinating place to explore what can we learn here. And even on the journey of recovery, we can experience burnout. Burnout by way of boredom. Burnout by way of feeling uninspired. disappointed, frustrated, wayward. So although this is an uncomfortable topic, perhaps, it is an important one for us to examine, particularly when we know we can sit with this thought, maybe with some of the feelings that are arising, and we're safe. We're in the comfort of our own home, or we're in this spiritual sanctuary. We're in community with people who care for us, who are really encouraging our well-being. There aren't too many demands on us in this moment. We are here simply to reflect and to practice. So with that, let's go ahead and take a moment to fully arrive and anchor ourselves in this practice, in this moment. Whatever was happening before you came to this meeting is in the past. It may be lingering around the edges of your mind and heart. Please let that be okay. What's happening in the future may be tugging at your attention. Please invite that to be okay. And breathe in this moment, enjoying this practice. The term burnout was created by a man named Herbert Freudenberger, who was born in Germany to a Jewish family just 7 years before Hitler came to power. After his family's factory was seized and his grandmother was beaten by Nazis, Freudenberger left Germany alone at age 12, using his father's passport. He sailed to New York and went to live with a step-aunt who kept him in an attic and made him sleep in an upright chair once she realized that his father could not pay her for the boy's care as promised. Freudenberger escaped this untenable situation at age 14 and lived on the streets of Manhattan until he was taken in by a cousin. When his parents finally made it to the United States, Freudenberger took a factory job to support them. Meanwhile, he attended night school at Brooklyn College, where he met Abraham Maslow, the eminent psychologist. Maslow encouraged him to study psychology and became his mentor. Freudenberger went on to earn his master's and doctorate degrees while continuing to work at the factory. With all this, Freudenberger launched a successful psychoanalytic practice in 1958. In the 1970s, he started working with a free clinic for substance abusers in East Harlem, where he volunteered after a full day at the office. At the free clinic and in other therapeutic communities, Freudenberger observed what happened to mental health and substance abuse counselors when they felt demoralized by patient outcomes. In 1974, probably inspired by Graham Greene's novel, A Burnout Case, he introduced the term burnout. This work launched him to his status as one of the nation's foremost psychologists. Freudenberger was a driven man, working 14 or 15 hours a day, 6 days a week, until 3 weeks before his death at 73. As his son Mark Freud told the New York Times, his early years unfortunately never really left him. He was a very complicated man and deeply conflicted because of his upbringing. He had very little childhood. He was a survivor. We have to wonder whether his real subject in the study of burnout might have been himself, or whether he was able to stay within the healthy realm of engagement. Regardless, burnout became his cause and his professional identity. Freudenberger defined burnout variously as a state of mental and physical exhaustion caused by one's professional life and the extinction of motivation or incentive, especially where one's devotion to a cause or relationship fails to produce the desired results. A state of mental and physical exhaustion caused by one's professional life and the extinction of motivation or incentive, especially where one's devotion to a cause or relationship fails to produce the desired results. My intention for ending the reading there is the invitation for each of us to explore failed results and the expectations that we've attached to that idea. What are our expectations of recovery? What does it look like? What did we think would happen? What do we want to happen? What do we need to happen? As we begin to excavate this inquiry, the invitation then becomes to wonder about the conditions. What are the realistic conditions for me? What can I realistically do to achieve what I want? Do I have enough support? Do I have enough physical health, time, financial security, food, housing? The social science, friends, shows us that the number one aspect of maintaining sustained sobriety, solidity, a sense of confidence on your journey is motivation. And motivation is empowered by having options. Trying lots of different things, seeing what works. And when things don't work, rather than attaching a story that says something's wrong with me, that I couldn't make this work, to simply, flick it off your shoulder. That wasn't for me. And I'm going to find something else. And by staying engaged in this way, by maintaining that motivation, by keeping some light of creativity and curiosity going, we can avoid falling over the edge into burnout. Nothing works. I've tried everything. Which might actually be true. And most definitely isn't the whole truth. There's always one more thing to try. There's always someone new to meet. There's always a spark to light a new flame. That's why we keep going, friends. It's why we stay engaged. The best tool for this task is something that I've just recently been sharing with people. It's the spiritual practice I'm calling Ugh to Ooh. So when you have that feeling of ugh, yuck, this, I'm so sick, ugh, ooh, what is that all about? What might be there to teach you? Ugh, I don't want to go. Ooh, what's all this resistance about? Have I not had enough coffee or tea? Did I not enjoy my breakfast? What's motivating this? All these people are driving me crazy. Ooh. In what ways do I drive people crazy? There's probably one worth exploring. This is a lighthearted practice to keep us motivated, especially through those dark and slogging times where engagement has a tendency to wane. This keeps the light going, this keeps the fires burning, albeit slowly perhaps. One step at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. I'll bring us to the conclusion of this practice today by simply acknowledging that some of you might be even entertaining, when is this meditation going to be over? Ooh, what's all this impatience about? What's the hurry? Just a wonderful threshold point to explore our minds, get to know what's happening there. This is what's going to keep us going, friends. This is what's going to keep the journey interesting, full of curiosity and wisdom. This is what's going to add some light to the dark and maybe even bring a little ease when things are hard and tough. And I think that ends us, and we'll go ahead and end our practice today with a dedication of merit. I invite you all to just close your eyes for a moment. And what we're going to do as our dedication is stand on the foundation of the Buddhist practice and of the practice of Recovery Dharma, otherwise known as the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. This ancient wisdom has sustained millions of people, cultures of people for 2,600 years. It is the recognition that the nature of reality, within the nature of reality, within the human experience, there is discomfort, unpleasantness, misery, suffering. That's the first noble truth. The second noble truth is there are reasons for this, there are causes for this, there are conditions that create it, some of which we participate in. Our reaction to things can create suffering and discomfort. Worth exploring, worth understanding. Because when we understand the conditions surrounding what's making us so uncomfortable, attachment, craving, aversion, when we understand the specifics of those conditions for ourselves, something shifts, something eases, harmony begins to set in, and we feel an ease, a lightness, less suffering. The way to explore and achieve this harmony is through practice. And specifically, the practice is the Noble Eightfold Path. And one of our Sangha members, Christopher, reminded me that a long time ago I was teaching about the idea that the path folds. It's called the Noble Eightfold Path. It is not an 8-step path. It is not an 8-swirl path. It is a folding, like a fan. Concepts that fold into one another. It's also, you can think of it like folding eggs or cream into flour to make a cake. You fold them in very gently, very systematically. They're connected to the point that they become one. Separate ideas coming together, folded in, become one thing. And there are 8 of these aspects that create this beautiful matrix of practice. It begins with wise understanding. What is your understanding of the situation? What is your level of curiosity? Wise intention. What is your motivation? Wise action. How do you show up to your life? Wise speech. What are your words, your tone? What is your capacity to listen? Wise effort. How are you engaging? What is your burnout? What is your fatigue level? What is your skill level? What is your capacity? Wise livelihood. Are you open to change? And if you're not open to change, can you be curious about that? And can you also be patient? Habit energy is a legacy endeavor. We are shifting habit energy that isn't necessarily entirely ours. It's generational, it's cultural, it's ancestral. It takes time. And with that, it requires sati, wise mindfulness. Mindfulness is how you show up to yourself, the conditions of your life exactly as they are, not as the stories in your mind dictate how they should be or could be or wish they were, as they are and as you are. To do that requires concentration, wise concentration. To be with life and yourself as you are, you have to concentrate on your whole being. And the wholeness of you is both light and shadow, both tidiness and mess, both mystery and muck, a wonder, a divine being indeed. This solidity, this foundation of this practice is here to hold us up, keep us anchored and centered so that we can heal and transform, not just for ourselves, but by extension, for our neighbors, our family, our friends, our communities. May you have the courage to radiate your goodness, your bodhicitta, your loving kindness, your compassion, your joy, and your freedom to awaken from what keeps you limited, locked in, and small. Thank you for your practice today, friends. You are profoundly inspiring to me and this Sangha. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.